Good morning. Today I wanted to talk about property in terms of the boundary of a property, including issues like a boundary wall. Now, in terms of the town planning scheme, or which we're calling now a scheme, a boundary of a property is a physical or imaginary line that marks the limits of a property or a land parcel. It also defines the extent of a property and it separates it from adjacent or neighbors, public spaces, or any other land uses. So, how you would see your boundary is you'd see the boundary walls, you'd see where the gate should be, access to the road. Your boundary of your property is that imaginary line. Okay, the types of boundaries that we have, there's a physical boundary, as I said, and there's an imaginary boundary. Now, what are the issues that we usually see with people regarding boundaries? Now, for example, in a suburb, a lot of people end up fighting over whose space it is and where is the boundary line. So today I wanted to just highlight some issues or things to know as a property owner, and to consider whenever, for example, you want to build or you want to put up a wall, etc., etc. Now, each property should have a peg. In terms of surveying, you should be able to know where your property starts and where it ends, separate from your neighbor. Property boundary says that you must share a boundary with the person on either side of your property, unless you are a corner site. But if you are in a suburb, for example, you will be sharing boundaries with your neighbors. Sometimes some people like to have one wall and it will face whoever has paid for that wall. Sometimes people want to share cost of building the wall. I also wanted to highlight that you need to have an approved building plan. Why do you need an approved building plan? The municipality needs to know that on street number 246 on Orange Street, the house is this many bedrooms, and now they are building a 1.8-meter wall. This is to ensure that, first of all, the construction of the wall is done according to the building regulations, is to ensure that you're putting that wall within the boundary of a property and on the boundary of a property. Sometimes some people will build too far away from the boundary and you find that the neighbor will then come closer to their side and then disputes will arise. So today I wanted to just highlight and tell you about being aware of the boundary of your site. You must always have an approved, updated building plan for your property. As a property owner, make sure that you have the relevant insurance. Make sure that the municipality knows what is actually on your site. Because, for example, in an area like Durban, you find that a lot of people were affected or are affected by the heavy rains, and you find that there's destruction on your property and you need to claim for building insurance. You cannot do that if you don't have an actual building plan and approved building plan. So I hope this information was helpful to you. And to avoid encroachment, as I said, make sure that you know where your pegs are. If you don't have an idea, go to the municipality and ask them, or speak to a surveyor, or make sure you get a copy of your SG diagram. I hope this was helpful to you. Please contact us on online town planning services at gmail.com for further advice and consultation. Thank you so much.